Hey guys, I'm Daisho and I'm back bringing you some more set review. Now we're finally on to blue and I still have
Garub
and
Andrew.
Alright, so let's try to do this one maybe a little bit quicker than the last one. I think we kind of started out on the really slow end and then we started moving it a little bit faster. So we're gonna go ahead and start reading Aquas Steed. It is 3 and a blue for a beast. It does not look very beastly, it kind of looks cute, but it's an uncommon for 2 and a blue. Tap, target creature gets -2/-0 until end of turn, and it's a 1/3. This is one of those things that I can't really figure out. Maybe it's going to have more of an impact than I think on the board. Like maybe -2/-0. I guess could be pretty cool that you can do it at instant speed. But I just don't see it being super good.
It just seems really dirtily and not even like good dirtily. I mean, for one, it's a 4-mana 1/3. Like that already seems bad.
Like it could have been a 1/4, and then it.
For my 1/3s, I'd rather have Concordia Pegasus.
Yeah.
But this card does do something that's pretty unique.
It does, but like
I don't see it ever being that relevant.
I really dislike that you also have to tap it to use the ability, because then
Well, you could still block with it and then
you could
tap
block one creature and tap and make another creature weaker, and you successfully use your mana to have like nothing happen.
Or you could have a board state where you have a couple of 3/3s and they can't attack because this card will just give whatever they have -2/-0. You'll block and then you'll just kill something. So,
I mean, honestly, I'd rather just have more 3/3s.
yeah, I agree. I don't think this card's very good, but it definitely does have upside, and I understand why they didn't print it at common.
Oh, completely, yeah.
I just don't see this being played.
Yeah,
It's just not a strong card.
This is not a card that I'm going to be running. Okay, Bluster Squall. 1 blue for an instant uncommon. Tap target creature you control. You don't control, sorry. It has Overload, 3 and a blue. Now I'm going to read the Overload ability. This is the blue-red Is It ability. It reads, you may cast this spell for its Overload cost. If you do, change its text by replacing all instances of target with each. So, if you overload it, Bluster Skull will read, tap each creature you don't control.
Also known as pretty much sleep.
It's not
At
sleep.
instant speed.
It's not sleep.
I mean, the fact is sleep, while tapping them down and making them stay tapped down, is also a sorcery. This one can be used during their turn.
Right, but you only get 1 attack. Sleep, you get 2 attacks.
You do only get 1 attack, but it's very versatile. I love this card for limited.
I agree. I enjoy most of the Overload cards, and this is definitely one of them.
Yeah, I didn't really think of this card too highly, but I don't know. Maybe it's just better than I thought it was. I mean, like I think that it's kind of in between Downpour and Sleep, and giving it Overload gives it like a little bit more usefulness, I guess, because you can just tap 1 creature if you need to, or you can tap 4 if you need to, which is good, but I just don't think that tapping all their creatures for 1 turn is such a powerful effect.
It's what you need it to be, because it's instant. You can have it so they don't attack, or you can have it so you can attack. Like
You actually get both.
you do get both
right.
because it's instant.
Right,
Sorry.
but but Downpour basically does the same thing for 2 mana less, and that's on no play.
This also has a lot of choice to it, because if you need it, need it just for 1 mana, just for 1 threat, then you can just tap that thing down.
I just don't like the card very much.
Mm-hmm. I like your comparison to Downpour here. I wasn't really thinking about that in comparison to Downpour, which really did not see much play. What I do like is that you can use it at instant speed, and on your turn attack with some things, and maybe play out a threat, maybe some sort of detain spell, so now their things also can't attack. It gets the momentum going in your favor really well.
Okay, yeah, I mean it's a very tempo-y card, and if you have a lot of 2-3 power guys, then it's going to be a pretty cool card. But I just don't think that it's really nearly as good as Sleep is, and Sleep wasn't like my favorite card anyway. But it's still probably going to be playable. I'm not going to play it that much though. I don't know. Maybe other people will play it more than me. Anyway, cancel is 1 blue counter target spell. I don't really think we need to talk about this.
We don't.
It's just cancel. It's been there forever. 1 blue. Actually, all right, I'll just read these cards, but all the mill cards I'm basically just going to skip by. We could talk about them now. They're just like, they're not good enough to make a real deck, and it's just not going to be worth it. So this one is 1 blue, enchant land, and whenever enchanted land becomes tapped, its controller puts top 3 cards of his or library into his or graveyard. So the reason why this card sucks, he just does it like twice and then never uses the land again, and he doesn't even care. Conjured.
Also, mill in this set can benefit the opponent because there are cards that act out of the graveyard.
Right. Conjured currency, 5 and a blue. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may exchange control of conjured currency and target permanent you neither own nor control. I don't really think that this card's good. It's just like weird because you can just switch it, and then an important thing to note is they gain control of conjured currency. So then at the beginning of their upkeep, they switch it back.
But they can't switch it back for the thing that you stole because you can't take something that you own.
Right.
Okay.
You no longer control it, but you still own it, so you cannot take that back.
Right. So you can't take the thing back.
By the end of this, if nothing happens while you're conjuring turn after turn, you end up just swapping all permanents.
It's just a really gimmicky enchantment that honestly, I don't see how you build around it. I see it giving too much choice to the opponent to make it that strong. And honestly, when it is best when you aren't playing good cards.
I agree.
Okay, so yeah, it's pretty much just a bad card. Nowhere even near switcheroo, let alone mind control.
Oh my god, this is not switcheroo.
Although you keep control of that if this is left play.
Yeah.
Well, switcheroo didn't need to even stay in play at all.
Yeah, anyway, Crosstown Courier, 1 and a blue for a Vidalcan creature. It's a common. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, that player puts the top cards of his library into his graveyard. The only thing that's relevant about this creature is that he's a 2-cost 2/1. If you want to run a 2-cost 2/1, put this guy in the deck. Otherwise, don't run it. Now we're going to move on to the next card, Cyclonic Rift. This card is really awesome. It's 1 and a blue for an instant. It's a rare. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. Already a good card. Already a card you'd probably run in your deck. Overload, 6 and a blue. So you just get to, let's just read that card again. Return each non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand. I guess it's kind of cute with whatever conjured currency, but
ridiculous.
It is a one-sided evacuation that hits more than just creatures.
Yeah,
it's always first picked.
Yeah.
Yes, and also will be splashed into any non-blue deck because
I don't know if it'll probably be splashed, but like getting to the overload cost might be trouble for some decks, and it's not good enough without the overload cost to be splashed.
I disagree there.
You think? You don't splash unsummon.
I value bounce higher in this set than I do in most other sets because of the token theme. There are a lot of things that if you bounce in this set, they're gone forever.
Okay.
There's also the enchantments. The not as big of a theme, but there is still the enchantment theme that you could get more benefit from this.
Right. So now let's talk about a card that's obviously
Wait,
better.
does this bounce the auras that are on creatures as well, or do those
No,
they're
non-land permanent,
if you
so they're
bounced, yeah, they get bounced.
all at the same time?
Yes,
Right.
all of them will get bounced.
Just wondering.
So now let's talk about a card that's clearly better. Dispel.
If you use it by itself, though. Sorry to go back.
Come
if you
on.
use it by itself,
I was making a joke, and now you guys are all like, yeah, we're talking about some boring Cyclonic Rift stuff. It's obviously just an awesome card.
If you use it by itself, though, without overloading it, you can hit a creature and kill the enchantment.
Right. Okay.
So you can use it on your guy that got arrested.
Also, now we're just going back to overload because it's over. Since it says return each, it doesn't say return like all target creatures or whatever. So even if they have hexproof or something like that, you still return them. If you overload it. Okay, Dispel, 1 blue instant counter target instant spell. It's a common. It's not going to be really played unless your opponent has like multiple. I mean, I guess in the against the Izzet deck, maybe you'll play it because they have a whole bunch of instants that can just change the game. But I really don't seeing much play in limited.
It's fine sideboard, but not much else. You don't really need to pick it up that highly.
All right, so now we got Doorkeeper. He's just another mill dude. Like not really worth talking about. He's basically 3 mana and tap to mill them for 1. Is that it? Is that really it?
Mill them for 1.
For each creature with defender you control. So if you have 4 of them, then you kill them pretty quickly. Like who cares?
The only important thing to note is it's a 1 in blue for a 0/4. Which the 4 toughness does hold off a lot of things.
Rather have a Kraken actually.
But I'd rather have a Kraken actually.
And
Kraken actually can attack.
Yeah, Kraken actually can attack, so it's obviously way better. Okay, downsize. Blue, instant, target creature you don't control gets -4/-0 until end of turn, overload 2 and a blue. I like this card a lot better than I like the tap spell. I think that this card can just completely change a game. I've played Hysterical Blindness, and it's not good, but I've seen it do things that have been beneficial.
The reason Hysterical Blindness has worked for you is because no one expected you to play that card.
Exactly, and nobody's going to
and
expect
therefore
me to
it
play
was good.
No
right.
one will expect
Right, so the thing is, Downsize is also adaptable, so that's one thing that Hysterical Blindness did not have, is that it's just a very, very narrow card, and it was really good in those narrow situations, but it was still a narrow card. So this card gives it a little bit more flexibility. I probably won't be running this deck at all, this card at all, but you never know.
Hysterical Blindness costs 3, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that if you use this, if you're just using this as like a combat trick,
Hydro
it
Surge.
only costs 1.
Right, so you can, I mean, this card is Hydro Surge or Hysterical Blindness. So those are 2 cards that did not see any play in their respective formats. So if you put them and give you the choice for either of them, maybe it sees play, but I just don't think so.
Well, if
I don't know,
somehow
maybe.
someone makes the mill cards work, this will be a card in the mill deck if it slows the opponent down.
Definitely.
This is
But
true.
other than that, it will go late, and if you really want them, you'll be able to pick them up.
All right. Fairy Imposter Blue for a 2/1 flyer. When Fairy Imposter, it's an uncommon. When Fairy Imposter enters the battlefield, sacrifice it unless you return another creature you control to its owner's hand. So this card's, yeah, it's definitely cute. It'll be really cool if you got some awesome detain creatures. It'll be, it's just pretty good in a lot of different scenarios. And at worst, you're still getting a 2/1 flyer.
For 1.
Right. So I don't know how
Not
many.
on turn 1, but for 1.
Right, for 1. Because that's relevant. Even though you can't play it on turn 1, it's still a relevant body throughout the game. And you can be like, okay, I'll play my 3-drop, and I'll play this also on turn 4. I'll play my Azurius Justiciar, and I'll play this also on turn 5. So there's just, you can just get extra value out of it that way.
I really, really enjoy cards that let me reuse into the battlefield abilities.
Right, but
They're
how
just
many
so
enter the battlefield abilities are like super relevant? I don't think it's as much as
The
like
detains
Innistrad
are.
one.
All
yeah,
of the detain ones.
yeah, it's just like
and
detain. And
there
then
are a
the
few
1/4.
There's a
There are a
couple.
few
There's a couple of
others.
the white cards gave you tokens.
Right, tokens,
I'm
seller
cool with,
songbirds.
I'm cool with selling some more songbirds.
Yeah, I'd sell as many songbirds as I can for some imposters, but anyway, let's move on to the next card. I think we all agree that it's pretty
Yes.
cool, and you'll probably run it. Will you run it in any deck, or do you have to have something that benefits?
I think,
I'd have to already be in blue first of all.
But yeah, if you're
given in blue, I think you need to run this card. Not need. If you have this card, I think you're running it.
I would only run it if I have something that combos with it, or at least something that isn't too bad to return back to my hand and play again. Like hopefully I have something with flash, so that way I can like not have to do it on my turn, so represent multiple things at once.
I would agree, but I mean, if you have nothing to benefit from this, I think the drawback is it's not that severe.
Yeah, the drawback definitely isn't too bad.
I mean, on the off chance that you can get super value out of this card if you have something arrested. I mean,
That's
if you
true.
have something
Yeah.
enchanted or something that you don't want to be enchanted with.
That's
There's-
very
this-
true.
this
that
card
doesn't
also-
that doesn't happen at all.
No,
I agree.
that will happen.
Stab wound
Stab
happens.
wounds. Stab wounds a thing.
Stab wound happens a lot.
I don't know.
And
I
you
don't-
guys will all see stab wounds very soon.
All right, Hover Barrier, 2 and a blue for an uncommon, Defender Flying 0/6. So this guy's just an iron wall. Nobody's really getting through him, but I mean he's really fog banky. He's just Defender Flying. They can't really kill it with combat damage.
He's good, I guess. I mean, I would just be happier if he cost 2 less, had 2 less toughness, didn't have defender, and didn't have flying, and wasn't Kraken.
I don't think I like this
I
card
think-
nearly as much as Kraken Hatchling.
I think this is
I
very
think I like
similar
this.
to Fogbank.
I think I like this card a lot better than Kraken Hatchling. That's
Oh,
what
really?
I meant to say. A lot better. Like you're just not really getting through this guy for the rest of the game. You're
I
either
just don't like playing big
You're-
defenders in
There's,
turn
even,
5.
I
even,
agree.
even
I-
your 5 or 6 drops are not getting through this a lot of the time.
That's true.
I just think that a lot of life is going to be gained off this card, so much so that it makes it a significant amount. Even though this card isn't going to be a creature, you don't count it in your creature count when you want to have like, oh, I want 17 creatures in my deck. You count this card as a spell that it'll be 3 mana and it'll either eat a removal spell or gain you 15 life over the game.
For all limited purposes, this is another Fogbank. It can't be as burned as easily.
Right, it can't be burned as easily, and it's a 3-drop, which
Right.
is pretty relevant.
I am very, very happy that it's uncommon, though, because I would probably just die trying to play a limited format with common hover barriers.
Yep, I agree with that. Inaction, Injunction, 1 and a blue, sorcery, common, detain target creature and opponent controls, draw a card. This card's really sweet. The first time I saw it, I'm like, why am I just detaining a creature for 2 mana? That seems awful. And then I'm like, draw a card? Yeah, okay, I can get behind that.
Mm-hmm. And,
go ahead.
I mean, like, even just detaining a creature for 2 mana is fine. You get to let one of your guys get in, and you get to make sure that creature doesn't attack you on their turn.
I mean, it's fine. It's not worth a card, but the fact that it cycles itself, I think, just tells
it's not. It isn't worth a card, which is why you aren't paying a card for it.
Exactly. And I mean, I compare this card to Crippling Chill, which was an instant, but it was very good. It had the whole tap. Can't untap the next turn, so it was sort of similar to Detain in that it gives you a turn where they can't attack and a turn where you can attack. The difference is that it only gives you 1 turn where you can attack, but it's 1 mana less, and you get I just think it's very similar to Crippling Chill, and I'm gonna basically value it about as highly as I did that.
I think this is going to be played in almost every blue deck. I can't imagine a blue deck without this being played.
Well,
yes.
I mean, I can imagine a blue deck where this isn't played, but I can't imagine a blue deck that is just. But most blue decks will want it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not saying that it'll be like a very good card in every. I don't know. Maybe it will be.
I can't think of a blue deck that wouldn't want it.
Yeah, I guess I would change my mind. I agree with that. All right, Inspiration, 3 and a blue, instant, common. Target player draws 2 cards. So the difference between this card and Divination is it costs 1 more mana and it's an instant. So that's generally really good because Divination is the kind of thing that you want to be playing at instant speed. You want to just be like drawing your 2 cards at the end of their turn, and you want to have mana open to have like combat tricks. But what kind of things can you actually use to benefit from this? Like, what kind of things are you just going to be like, okay, I want to make my decision later whether or not I want to play my spell this turn, or whether or not I want to draw 2 cards?
Well, there's some gold cards with Flash. Syncopate is in this set. Cancel is in this set. This lets you make use of leaving counter mana open, even if you don't have anything to counter it. It lets you not have wasted a turn when you're trying to be a reactive control deck. This is the kind of card that reactive control decks just need and limited to exist, and its existence at common allows the format to be more diverse, and for that I really like it.
Yep, I'm a pretty big fan of this card.
I like it for the fact that you can leave open everything you need to leave open.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Asperia's Skywatch, 5 and a blue, flying. The Dalkin Knight. It's a common. When it enters the battlefield, detain target creature and opponent controls. So I think that there's a bunch of 6-cost flyers, 3/3 flyers in this set, and I don't really know how much I like a 6-cost 3/3 flyer. I mean, the thing that is interesting to note is a 3/3 body is pretty much always going to be relevant. A 3/3 flying body is going to be always relevant. And you can detain something, which is good. As we said earlier, detain is better in the late game than it is in the early game. But I just don't know how many times I'm going to be wanting to play this card, and I know that I'm probably never going to want to have more than 2 in the deck. 2 is already a stretch, and that's like I don't have any other 6 drops. So this card's okay. It's going to be playable, but I don't think anybody's going to argue that it's just a really good card.
Yeah, I think it's fine, but that's about it.
Yeah. Is this the first flyer we saw that would just kill Concordia Pegasus?
Yes.
And that's not a 6-drop. Just going back to Concordia.
Okay, but this card's just bad, so like...
I agree.
I do not think it's bad. I think it's fine.
Alright.
I think that once again, exactly what you said, 3/3 flying body is always going to be relevant. It is a good way to kill them. I mean, just beat in for 3 in the air while you have your armory guards, or whatever they're called, clogging up the ground. And it also, when you play it, it has an immediate effect on board. It lets one of your other flyers get in there if they had any flying blockers, or just set something up to not attack you on your turn. It slows them down and gives you a way to put on some pressure.
Alright, let's move on to the next card. Jace, Architect of Thought. 2 blue for a mythic rare. Its loyalty starts at 4, and I was debating whether or not I was going to read it, but I guess I'm going to go for it. Until your next turn, whenever a creature an opponent controls attacks, it gets -1/-0 until end of turn. This is its +1 ability. -2 ability. Reveal the top 3 cards from your library. An opponent separates those cards into 2 piles. Put one pile into your hand and the other on the bottom of your library in any order. -8. For each player, search that player's library for a non-land card and exile it. Then that player shuffles his or her library. You may cast those cards without paying their mana costs. So yeah, I mean, Jace is just really good. You're always going to take him first. There's really not that much to say about him. He's probably going to be worth some money, so you want to do it that way. And he's just strong enough to win you limited games. So yeah, I don't know.
He's very strong. Has a plus ability that protects himself, a minus ability that gives card advantage, and an ultimate that can nearly win the game by just getting your best card and their best card.
Yep, it's good.
It's exactly what you want in Planeswalker.
Right. Mythic skin, blue, instant, common. Target creature you control gets +0/+1 and gains hexproof until end of turn. Overload for 1 and a blue. The overload cost on this guy is pretty irrelevant.
Yup.
There's going to be like one situation where all of your 2/2s are blocked by all of their 2/2s, and you're like, I play Mythic skin. Oh, no, wait. And you also have a 3/3. And they Annihilating Fire the 3/3, and then you overload your Mythic skin and get like a 7-for-1, and you're like, this is the greatest card ever printed.
But if you ever do that to me, I'll be so angry at you.
It's going to happen in our first draft.
Well, the reason why that's never going to happen is because I don't really think anybody's going to be playing this card. It's a pretty good sideboard card, I guess, if your opponent is playing like removal deck or super detainee deck, but I really don't think that it's going to be worth it.
Yeah, and if you really need one of these, like, to fight against some sort of removal, you'll get it late. Don't worry.
Yeah, these will always table. You'll always get them late, and you'll see a lot of them.
Yeah, one of the less good cards in the format, really. Alright, Paralyzing Grasp, 2 and a blue, enchant creature. It's a common. Enchanted creature doesn't untap during its controller's untap step. It's fine. It's bad removal, but it's blue removal. So, what do you guys
There's not much else to say.
Yeah, it's just bad removal, but it's blue removal.
Yep.
So you'll run it in some blue decks, not in all of them. You don't want to run
It's not
it,
in
but
Crust, though.
but you can.
Costs double blue.
Yeah, double blue is actually pretty restrictive on a Crust, but it also, they can still activate their abilities. So,
Yes.
it's got a pretty good.
But if their ability requires them to tap, then they can't.
Well, yes.
Well, it could do it once. So, okay, Psychic Spiral, 4 and a blue, instant, uncommon. Shuffle all cards from your graveyard into your library. Target player puts that many cards from the top of his or her library into his or her graveyard.
You're not playing this limited.
I think I'm going to disagree with you for just a second. Like, if you're playing a really, really, like, really deep blue control deck, then I can see this card seeing play, like, just finish you for 10 cards, just so that you don't have to survive for 15 turns. You only have to, for 25 turns, you only have to survive for 15. But I really don't think that this is going to see play in almost any deck. Like, there is one time where somebody's going to be like, Psychic Spiral was my win condition for my deck. But other than that, it's never going to see play.
There's only one thing I want to say about this. It's completely irrelevant to limited, but I have to say it. If you somehow are running a Battle of Wits deck in Constructed, put this in your sideboard against mill, you will wreck them.
Okay.
Because they're going to mill you out. You're going to have... Let's say you... Not even against mill. Just against anything. Because you have this giant deck that can just dump a bunch of cards engraving. This gives you an extra win condition.
Yeah.
But
All right.
It's completely irrelevant to this review. Let's move on to an awesome card instead.
Runewing, 3 and a blue, 2/2 common bird. Flying. When Runewing dies, draw a card. So it's not really quite Tower Geist. You don't get to look at 2, take 1, and put 1 in their graveyard, which was awesome in Dark Ascension and Innistrad. But yeah, this card's good. It's going to see play, and it's like, yeah, I'm going to attack you. Once you decide to trade with it, then I'm going to draw a card off it. So I'm happy.
4 mana 2/2 flyers are good.
Bounces off Concordia, Pegasus.
Alright, Search the City. I hate this card. It's kind of cute, but I will read it just because I'm reading everything. 4 and a blue for an enchantment. It's rare. When Search the City enters the battlefield, exile the top 5 cards of your library. Whenever you play a card with the same name as one of the exiled cards, you may put one of those cards with the name into its owner's hand. Then, if there are no cards exiled with Search the City, sacrifice it. If you do, take an extra turn after this one. You're not going to play this card. Skyline Predator. 4 blue. It is a 3/4 flash flying Drake, and it's an uncommon. So I'd much rather play this card than the Detain 6-cost 3 power flyer, because Flash can often basically just get you another card out of it, especially since it's got 4 toughness. So this card, you can basically just say, all right, you attack me, I kill your creature, now I have a relevant body. I don't love the card, but I think it's still pretty good, and it'll probably see some play.
I absolutely love it.
It's a Fairy Invaders for blue more to get 1 more toughness.
Right.
I think that's very good.
Well, it was kind of cute because they had Nephalia Sea Kite, which was a 2/3, and then to add 1 more power, you had to pay another mana for Fairy Invaders, and now to add 1 more toughness, we have to add 1 more blue, and now it's a 3/4.
Yep.
But I can't say I love it as much because it is still a 6-cost 3 power creature. But I definitely like it, and I'll probably play it. But, I mean...
My thoughts on it is that, like, I treat it as...
Removal.
This is a 6-cost removal spell that does a thing. And I like 6-cost removal spells that do a thing.
It's a 6-cost removal spell for a creature that's attacking and is less than 4 power.
Which are many.
Yeah, but you're not always going to be so happy to kill them.
And even
Anyway.
then, just being able to... Here's a 3/4 flyer. It's fine, too.
Let's move on to a really sweet card. Soulworn Spirit. 3 blue, spirit, uncommon. Soulworn Spirit is unblockable. When it enters the battlefield, detain target creature an opponent controls. This is awesome. I mean, you get a 2/1 unblockable, so they're just going to die in however many life they have divided by 2 turns. And you also get to detain something that's just like, thank you, that's value, I'm happy. And it's 3 and a blue, like, yeah, I'm going to be able to cast this every game.
I will also swear by splashing this card in every Golgari deck I ever make.
You mean because you could just, like, scavenge it?
Yes, it's the best scavenge target.
This is a...
Fencing Ace.
Yeah, just...
It's
give it any kind of
unblockable.
Yeah, so it's Fencing Ace.
Like, it actually can't be blocked. Like, that is what the card says.
Alright, let's move on to another 6-cost blue flyer. So this guy is Sphinx of the Chimes, 4 blue for a Sphinx, rare, flying. Its ability is pretty irrelevant in Limited, but discard 2 non-land cards with the same name, draw 4 cards. It's a 5/6 flyer for 6. You're going to run it. You're going to be happy about it. If you ever randomly get value off it, then you're just going to be like, oh my god, that was awesome. But
I will discard 2 Slitherheads to it.
That would be the greatest
you
thing
are not going to discard 2
You're not going
Slitherheads.
to get 2 Slitherheads.
You just know that is never going to happen.
It's
So
gonna
yeah,
happen.
you're just going to want to run that card pretty much all the time.
It's very good.
But it is worthy of noting that it's going to fight for spots in your deck with Skyline Predator. I mean, you can only have a certain amount of 6-drops.
I'd prefer this one.
Yeah, well, this guy I think is better than Skyline Predator. Just 2 more power is just so relevant. But
And the 2 more toughness.
Also 2 more toughness.
yeah.
I heard giving +2/+2 to creatures is a good idea.
All right, let's move on to the next card. Stealer of Secrets. It's 2 and a blue. It's a human rogue. It's a common. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. I like it. I don't know how much more than Scroll Thief I like it because generally one damage they can just take and they're fine. But Scroll Thief had on the card, you don't want to take this damage. So this guy makes it just even more. You definitely don't want to take this damage because I'm dealing 2 to you. So I don't really know how much the trade-off for the -1 power +1 toughness is.
Mm-hmm.
I think I prefer Scroll Thief to this card just because it's harder to remove with creatures, and you're gonna often, if you don't have something that just bounces off of it, you're often just gonna let it through because it's only 1 damage, and that's what you're thinking, even though it lets them draw.
Right, but what is worth noting, I think, is that a 2/2 is gonna like act more as a regular creature than just this strange creature.
Right. It's less all in on the plan of I'm gonna get in draw cards.
Right.
Exactly. It lets you have a little bit more versatility for the trade-off of slightly less consistency of what you want it to do. But another thing that's very important to take into account is the environment that Scroll Thief and Stealer of Secrets are both in. I keep on bringing up different mechanics, but Stealer of Secrets is in the guild that has Detain. It's the guild that lets you swing in with your creatures because you just made their guy unable to block. It's going to play a strong role in any Azorius deck.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Alright, cool. Syncopate, X blue, counter instant, uncommon. Counter target spell unless its controller pays X. If that spell is countered this way, exile instead of putting it into its owner's graveyard. They really just made this card so that it would be good in Constructed, but it's still pretty relevant in Limited. I mean, you're going to be able to cast this card and you're going to be able to counter spells.
Yep.
If you want to be countering spells, then this is a good way to do it.
Yep.
Really.
Holding up Syncopate and the Flash Flyer is just really
Yeah,
fun.
that's cute.
And the draw a card thing.
Right.
Draw 2 cards.
Yeah. All right. So Tower Drake, 2 blue, a common flyer for it's a 2/1, and it has the ability Plains. Tower Drake gets +0/+1 until end of turn, so that's cool. I mean, a 2 power flyer for 3 is pretty playable. The fact that you can make it harder for them to kill is also pretty cool. So I think this card's just just good. You're gonna want to play it.
It's fine. I mean, the only issue is that it makes you want to be in 2 colors, but even if you're not in white, it's
well, I mean, you kind of want to
okay.
be in 2 colors anyway, and
well, I mean, those may not be the 2 colors that you want to be in, though.
yeah, that's true. But I mean, I'll still play a 2/1 flyer even if I'm playing Izzet.
True. I would
3.
still play it too.
All right, Void Welder, 4 and a blue. Human Wizard, another common. When Void Welder enters the battlefield, you may return target creature to its owner's hand. Oh my god.
How far have we fallen from this, Draven?
It's trying to be
like,
Aether Adept.
Yeah, like Aether Adept is just like, oh my god, that costs
mystery.
2 less and has a better body? Like, wow.
However, even with all that said, I'm still playing this.
Oh yeah, I mean, Aether
Well,
Adept
it's
was
limited
just...
having that body is just so like having that ability to bounce down a dude is good.
Exactly. Aether Adept was just so good that I'm willing to run this card as well.
By the way, when we were talking about creatures with enter the battlefield abilities that I want to bounce with that fairy thing, this is one of the ones
Fairy
I want to bounce with that
imposters.
fairy imposters
I
thing.
mean, yeah, you play this turn 5, and then you play your Fairy Imposters, and
And then it again.
Yeah, I mean, that's okay. Alright, so that was going to be it for blue. It looks like we did it in less than half the time, so
Sweet.
nice job, team.
Go
and we'll probably be back for the black. Back for black. Woohoo, go. Team, go. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a nice day. Bye.
Garrett signing out.
Adios.